In LA this week,
Los Angeles will not be complicit in your human rights violations.
the city fights back against ICE's jailing of immigrant children.
I'm Saida Pagan, and I'll tell you the story of the greater Los Angeles homeless count and what it means for the city. I'll have that story coming up.
I'm Anna Marcos. Will the struggling St. Vincent's Hospital shut down or become a haven for homeless residents? That's coming up.
Hey everyone, I'm Rasha Goal. Here's what's happening in LA this week. It's one of LA's expansive calls to action. The homeless count engaged thousands of volunteers to canvass more than 80 cities and 200 communities across LA County. Saida Pagan was on hand for the 2020 launch.
The annual homeless count began in Los Angeles, with volunteers walking through encampments in all parts of the city. The effort, which was organized by the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority, was designed to make sure all unsheltered Angelenos were accounted for. Even LA Mayor Eric Garcetti took the time to serve, counting in some of the most hard-to-reach, desolate places where far too many Angelenos are forced to call home. The homeless count goes on for 3 nights in a row. The more accurate the count, the more funding cities will receive to help deal with the problem. Earlier, scores of volunteers had gathered at the North Hollywood Recreation Center for training. It was the first night of the count, and many were determined to make a difference. Equipped with maps and instructions, special vests, clipboards, and flashlights, they came together to show their sense of humanity.
And I think, what can I do? How can I help this? And this is the first thing that I have run into that said, you don't have to solve the problem, you just help.
It's the least I can do. I walk by a lot of homeless people every day, and it's very upsetting. I'd like to do more, but this opportunity came up, so I was happy to do this.
Elected leaders and community activists were on hand to show their support for the volunteer effort. They say what's at stake here are millions in federal housing and urban development vouchers. These vouchers can be used for existing units, speeding up the waiting time for much-needed housing.
This is the day we see how many of us are homeless, and we see who they are. We count them, we compare where we're at, and we can go to the federal government and the state and say, this is how much money we need.
I lost my job, so I'm here.
Eddie Rodriguez is hoping that LA does get more help. He showed us his tent on a noisy street in North Hollywood. It's a place he has called home for what seems like an eternity.
It's messed up. I mean, I see people like you could die from the coldness, you know? Especially with this cold weather that's been going on, I mean, and nobody cares.
Zandra Johnson can't hold back the tears as she remembers her years living on the streets. She gets emotional as she talks about her hope for those who don't have permanent housing.
Because now I want everybody that's like me or formerly like me to have that feeling of walking into your apartment for the first time.
Officials say the preliminary statistics will be tallied by community partners at the University of Southern California by this spring. After that, an application will be submitted, and if all goes well, new federal funding could be received by early next year.
The results of the yearly count help city and county officials better understand homelessness in their regions and to direct resources where they are needed most. LA City Council members held a press conference to introduce an interim control ordinance that would stop a newly proposed immigrant detention center for unaccompanied minors.
We want the city of LA to be remembered for protecting and educating our children, not locking them up in cages. growing up within the Hispanic and Latino community and coming from family members who took that journey across the border to have a better life for the American dream, and seeing these kids come across the border being treated like animals essentially is very disheartening.
Not in LA will we sit idly by and allow this to happen.
Detention centers at jail are immigrant children, particularly private companies who are making money off of the misery and suffering and pain of children. The city of Los Angeles is not about that.
Vision Quest, a for-profit private corporation with a history of abuse, is leading the efforts to open the location in Arleta to house unaccompanied minors facing immigration proceedings. These are jails for children.
Today, we're going to continue to make history in the city of Los Angeles in adopting this interim control ordinance to assure that whether you call it a detention center or a prison, that facilities like this will not be opening in the city of Los Angeles.
The proposed privately owned center would be located in the San Fernando community of Arleta. Councilmember Mitch O'Farrell made headlines recently with his proposal to address the homelessness crisis with the reimagined use of a soon-to-be closed local hospital. Anna Marco speaks with Mr. O'Farrell about his creative plans for St. Vincent Medical Center.
A new twist in the uncertain future of St. Vincent's Hospital and that of its patients and more than 1,000 employees. The hospital had been planning to shut down in the next few weeks, but Councilmember Mitch O'Farrell has introduced a motion that could help both the hospital and the city's homeless residents.
I think what's coming together is the possibility of a grand vision for St. Vincent's Medical Center. I want to explore the possibility of repurposing the entire medical center, including the 366 beds that are there, and take a look at what we could do in terms of helping address our homelessness crises. It could become a different kind of acute care center.
The struggling downtown hospital had a buyer, but the sale fell through. It has asked a bankruptcy court for approval to close its doors, but O'Farrell's proposal would see the city buying or leasing the property to turn into homeless housing and supportive services.
I'm working on safe parking as well, so we could really have the entire three-ring circus of homeless services, housing, safe parking in one facility at the urban core, right where the need is the most acute.
The city would work with its state and county partners to find funds. No word yet on the price tag, but O'Farrell says the cost per bed would come in way under what it would cost the city to build new housing with HHH funds.
We could end up with a facility that is almost ready-made to be reoccupied to help address the #1 crises facing the day. California has about 1/3 of the homeless population in the United States. The county and city of Los Angeles has half of the homeless population in the state of California. The time is now.
The motion will make its way through committee hearings in the next couple of weeks. O'Farrell admits his proposal has never been tried before.
It's almost as though my existence on the Los Angeles City Council is to operate with 0 templates. So I'm happy to help create a new one. And if we have to create a new template and figure this out, we will do that.
They came bearing signs, they came wearing knitted pink caps. They came to add their voices to the call for equality. And having personally been there, I can tell you it is such a moment of empowerment. This year, Mayor Eric Garcetti was among the thousands of vocal Angelenos who took part in the LA Women's March.
I'm out just for women's equality and to make sure that I get the same rights as everybody else, especially now this is my first time voting, and I really want to make my first vote count.
I think our country is under threat, our democracy is under threat, and if we want something to change, we have to do it.
If you don't go out and say anything, there will be no change.
But different types of people too. It's not just all one gender, one race. It's everybody coming together as one.
This is a chance to carry the torch forward and show the world that when we have each other's backs, we are so much more powerful than when we fight alone.
We must elect a president who will advance justice for everyone. A president who tells the truth. A president who will make us proud. A president who is not Donald Trump.
We showed Washington that power doesn't come from them to us. It comes from us to them. And in 2020, we are going to remind Washington, D.C. who's in charge, aren't we?
We demand justice. Women's voices have to be heard. And we know what's best for our families, for working families, for the LGBT community, for immigrants, for people that are seeking justice, who want the American dream. We have marched to save our country and our world. We have marched to demand that women be treated not only with equality, but with dignity and respect. We must remember that change does not happen on its own. Change happens because we make it happen, and we must make it happen in November.
And while crowds flooded the streets of downtown LA united on behalf of women, another group gathers with their own hope of having their voices heard. The Department of Neighborhood Empowerment kicked off the first meeting of the LGBTQ+ Neighborhood Alliance. Its goal? Better representation in local government. Here's a look at that event.
Today we are hosting the first LGBTQ+ Alliance within the neighborhood council system, where a lot of community members and local leaders are coming together to work as an alliance and address issues that are going on in the city and become a voice to city government. This is the very first meeting we are having. We felt that there wasn't enough voice within the entire neighborhood council system, within all of Los Angeles City. So we felt there is a need for a stronger and louder voice in the community.
It's something we've been working on for months and months now to try to get started, and we're really excited to kick it off. We want equality and safety for all Angelenos, and I think this will help set a forum for folks from across the city to come together and talk about how neighborhood councils can advance LGBTQ equality.
There's a lot of nonprofit organizations out there that represent the gay and lesbian community, but there's nothing that is instilled in local city government that really represents the community, and that is why we are forming this alliance today.
Down in San Pedro, the annual State of the Port event reaffirmed the nationwide significance of LA's port for the country. Among the speakers was Councilmember Joe Buscaino, who emphasized the importance of economic growth and development within the district.
This is our annual State of the Port address, where we update our port community and other observers on what's taking place here and the initiatives that we're trying to move forward.
I don't need to remind any of you about the extreme importance of the San Pedro Bay Port Complex, which supports nearly 1 million California jobs and accounts for over $400 billion of economic impact to this country.
Industry, community, and the port together, all to have the conversation about what our social compact should be. And industry leaders have allowed for great investment, technology advancement, and implementation right here at the Port of LA.
Ranging from engineering proposals to environmental initiatives, all with the goal of moving cargo, more cargo than we do today, moving it cleaner, faster, and more efficiently.
The port is also creating a rising tide in our harbor community, developing its waterfront for the benefit of residents and tourism. As you all know, we are in the process of building the San Pedro Public Market and the Wilmington waterfront.
We've really taken away today
is the opportunity in 2020 as a sort of landmark year to take stock of where the port is today, where it will be moving into the future, and to set the stage for a long-term plan to make sure that we remain America's port.
The Emergency Management Department wants you to remember the Northridge earthquake by being prepared. Members of the City Council want the Dodgers to get their due, and the LA Department of Sanitation wants to teach you composting. All this in this week's City Beat.
The LA City Council has voted unanimously to request additional penalties to Major League Baseball teams, the Houston Astros and the Boston Red Sox, who defeated the LA Dodgers during the 2017 and 2018 World Series, respectively. The wins versus LA were shown to have been achieved by unethical sign stealing, which has tainted those victories. LA Sanitation is hosting a free composting and urban gardening workshop at Lopez Canyon Environmental Education Center on January 25th. Learn how you can create mulch as well as gardening tips that will earn you your green thumb. It's been 26 years, and anyone who has experienced the 1994 Northridge earthquake will speak of that 6.7 magnitude shock with a hint of uneasiness in their voice. The Emergency Management Department reminds Angelenos that preparation is key to survival in any catastrophic event.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is one of the most important American figures in our country's history. In fact, to this day, I still remember my history project that I did on him. That, of course, was years ago, guys. Young and old, spectators and performers came out in droves for LA's MLK Day Parade. Take a look.
I'm so thrilled to be here on Martin Luther King Day as we celebrate, remember the legacy of a great man, and most importantly, to recommit ourselves to his dream.
He started the dream. Now our children, our future, have to continue the dream.
Participating in the parade is awesome.
Dr. Martin Luther King was a great man. He inspired us today. That's why we have all this great stuff. I'm so glad to be here in LA, surrounded by all these African Americans, my culture, and it feels so good. I came all the way from the East Coast just to come here. Wow, it's amazing.
Martin Luther King's legacy was a legacy of equality, of freedom for all people, that everybody was created equal.
He was about peace, justice, love for everybody. He was such a great man. He changed the world. Probably one of the greatest men that ever lived.
MLK Day has been a national holiday since 1986, making this parade a South SoCal tradition that's 35 years old and still going strong. And what do paraders find at the end of that rainbow? A cultural block party that keeps the festivities rolling. Next stop, the Freedom Festival.
This is the Martin Luther King Jr. Freedom Fest. It's a great event that we have every year here in Leimert Park. There are booths from all different vendors, artists, there's talent. We have 3 stages. We also have city booths with our city services. The Department of Cultural Affairs has a booth right here where we are featuring the Vision Theater. As you know, it's being renovated right now, and we have artwork of what the theater will look like on the inside, and on the outside, we also have memorabilia. So the theater was built in 1931, so we have the armrests from the actual theater seats that we're giving away to the community as a keepsake.
So the Freedom Festival is really
really fun. I'm glad I came. It was my first time. I think it's really important for us to have events like this where you can really celebrate who you are.
This type of festival is great for the community because it brings us together as one, and it gives us time to just kind of commune with one another.
The festival is great. It celebrates the culture of Crenshaw and black culture in LA, and I feel like it gives everyone an opportunity to come out, just feel the pulse of the community.
We go from an annual celebration at Leimert Park to a monthly event at the First Street Corridor. We visited the East LA Art Walk, where the goods and the vendors are all about building community.
East LA Art Walk has been happening for the past 5 years at the corner of First Street and Indiana, and it features local artisans, local crafters, entrepreneurs.
I grew up here in Boyle Heights. My family has a lot of roots here, and it's important because there isn't a lot of vegan options or healthy options here in the community, so it's made it my mission in order to be able to help and educate individuals here as well too, on how to have a healthier lifestyle.
By having the art here in East LA, first of all, it changes the face of the neighborhood. It shows to the local kids and to the local community that there is an alternative to tagging walls. So hopefully they feel inspired, and this helps youth at risk find a different path.
I just really appreciate the community in East Los for supporting all of us and coming out and talking and being friendly, and I love it so much.
The East LA Art Walk begins at the corner of Indiana and First Street. Artists and vendors are waiting for you to pay them a visit every second Sunday, rain or shine. The Madrid Theater in Canoga Park has new tenants. The Bob Baker Marionette Theater offers a fun family experience with no strings attached. Well, maybe a few strings. And I will tell you, having met Bob Baker years ago, this man has left a true legacy behind.
You guys ready for a puppet show?
Today at the Madrid Theater, put on by the Department of Cultural Affairs, we're doing 2 shows. Bob Baker was a puppeteer. Back when Bob Baker was 6 years old, this is all the way back in 1930, he saw his first puppet show, and then spent the rest of his life creating the Bob Baker Marionette Theater. Puppets have been around since ancient Egypt, if not before. The magic that existed 50 years ago, 2,000 years ago, still exists today.
I've been to other puppet shows, but never like this.
My favorite part of the show were the ostriches.
I just really appreciate that we were able to come today and that this is provided by the city. It's a really nice service to the community.
We do shows all year long and all throughout Los Angeles. We have a traveling company that comes out just like this, and we're popping up everywhere. All that information's at bobbakermarionettetheater.com. Puppets are for children of all ages, so from 2 to toothless. Bob used to say, be happy, be healthy, and always keep a smile on your face.
Becoming a firefighter is a rigorous process of skill and strength training. Not just anyone can become one. Now imagine how awesome a dog you would have to be to pass all that grueling training. Reporter Saida Pagan has the opportunity to meet one of these very special canines.
Good girl. Good girl. Easy, easy.
This is Vea and her owner and handler, LA firefighter Margaret Stewart.
On this day, they are training for their important and critical job. Vea is one of only 2 dogs at the Los Angeles Fire Department certified to recover human remains.
Vea is deployed about 12 times a year. She's there after a fire, a disaster, and at crime scenes.
She locates human blood, bone, or tissue, which could mean a body that fell victim in a structure fire. It could mean a disaster with a mud flow. It could be any type of scenario.
Vea is well suited for her job on the Human Remains Detection Team. She is widely known for her intelligence, high energy, and hard work.
It doesn't matter what's around her. She's just going to plow through, up, over, around to get to what she needs to do to get her toy.
Canine Vea's skills are in demand all over Southern California. Firefighters say her ability to find remains helps to bring closure to grieving families.
In 2016, she's responsible for locating 4 individuals. It was a family that perished in a structure fire, and no one knew they were there.
Vea's recovery work has earned her accolades from the Los Angeles Fire Department. A few years ago, she and 2 other dogs became the first non-humans to receive a Valor Award from the LAFD.
She's established a reputation that we work hard, we're reliable, and we train regularly to maintain that.
Show me, search.
Firefighter Stewart credits the love and the bond that exists between them for making it all work.
We go everywhere together. She comes to work with me, she's at the station, we go on vacation together, we travel to workshops across the country together. So we're a package deal.
How adorable is she? Oh my gosh, I would love to take her home. Vea is one of several specially trained dogs used by the LA Fire Department. And next week, we'll meet one of her co-workers, a canine who is part of the arson counterterrorism section. The Golden Dragon Parade turns 121. Wow. Local chefs compete to make savory dishes with chocolate. And Wisdom Immersive Art Park opens a new exhibit featuring Samskara. All this and more in Things to Do.
The Chinese Chamber of Commerce of Los Angeles presents the 121st Annual Golden Dragon Parade. With thousands lining the parade route each year, this colorful celebration along North Broadway in Chinatown has become the premier cultural event in the Southern California Asian American community. Don't miss the 121st Annual Golden Dragon Parade, happening Saturday, February 1st, beginning at 1 p.m. For more information, visit lagoldendragonparade.com. Chocolate is the name of the game at the Savory Chocolate Culinary Fight Club. This event is not about creating sweet cupcakes. This cooking contest boasts food of the gods kind of bites. It's refined but translatable to the chocolate lover who wants to experience chocolate in a new way. Get a front row seat to creative deliciousness. The Savory Chocolate Culinary Fight Club drops Friday, January 31st. For details, visit their listing on Gold Star. If you love art, music, VR, and exploring new things, come experience the magic of Samskara, an immersive art and technology exhibition. This multimedia exhibit is a great sanctuary for getting out of your head and realizing the universe around you. Take your friends and get lost together in one or all 4 interactive domes. Prepare to see tons of captivating visuals and Instagram-worthy pictures at Samskara, happening February 2nd from 6 p.m. to midnight. For details, check out their listing on Eventbrite. And that's a look at some things to do.
That's it for this edition. I'm Rasha Goel. From all of us here at LA This Week, thanks for joining us. A reminder that you can also catch us online at lacityview.org. And we're on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, so no excuses to miss us. See you next time for more LA This Week.